Okay, hello everyone. Today I'm going to share you my experience how to create the Linux user onto the any Linux machine, and how does the authentication work. So basically there are two types of authentication happens over there. One is the password based authentication and key based authentication. So agenda for today's video is to set up how the on the Kali machine, how you, because once you install the Kali machine, and if you want to create a session with this, there will not be directly the SSH server will be running onto that by default. So you have to install the OpenSSH server onto the Kali, and you have to configure that OpenSSH server onto that before you can connect to that from outside. And after that, I'll be explaining how you can start the services, uh, how to start the services before you can use it, right? And then we will talk about how you can create the user, Linux user onto that box, and how you can create a home directory into that, and so that you can do the key based authentication setup, right? Next I will help you to generate the key based authentication. You have to use the key SSH keygen utility, and then we'll be deploying that SSH keys onto the box, and then I will demonstrate you how to we do the key based authentication without putting into the password. So this is the agenda for today, and yeah, so let's move on and start demonstrating this. Alright, so here you can see I have installed my Kali Linux machine onto my virtual box. So let's log in there. Yeah, so I just alright, so you can see I have logged in my Kali virtual machine, and I have logged in with the root. So my IP is also, you can see, the configured as 192.168.56.102, and which I will be using this to log in after once I create the user. So I'll copy it and put it to the so that it's easy and quick. So okay, now before making any SSH connection to the Kali Linux, there has to have the open SSH that has to be available. So let's see whether what is the configuration at moment. So there is a command, you can use it, apt list and open SSH server. So this is the package that's get installed. So for me, if you see, it is already upgradable, but yeah, it is installed here. So I don't need to install it, but if you want to install it, simply apt, instead of that, apt install, and I will do that way. Yeah, so let's move on. So now suppose this is got installed, and now you have to configure it first. So for the configuration, okay, so configuration, there is a file called etc/sshssd.conf. So let's go there, etc/ssh, and you can see sshd and sssd.config. Alright, where is that? So this is sssd.conf. This is the file. This is the file where it all the parameters goes here before you actually it runs the service. So there are mainly the few parameters you need to verify whether it's all there or not. So before you making any connection. So for authentication, go to the authentication section and see there is a pub key authentication equal to yes. So if this is yes, it means anybody can log in with the key based authentication. And of course, for each user, their authorized key means public key, it has to be stamped here into these files, these two files, either file. I mean, some places it's authorized keys, somewhere it's authorized keys too, so you can put any of them. So into the home folder of that particular user, right? So this is the authorized key file. And for the password based authentication, there is a parameter called password authentication equal to yes. If this is only 3 parameter, if you have set it, you are good to go with the SSH configuration. And yeah, so let's move on. If it is different setting on your machine, you can change it accordingly. Let's move on. Now I have created the configured this. I've done the configuration for this SSH. Now you can check whether the service is up or not, but you have to first make it enable and then it. So you can check system CTL status ssh.service. Yeah, you can see in this server my SSH service is running, so means we are good to go and do the SSH connectivity. So before that, I'll show you how to create one user over there, and then we can set the password for that. So I'll show you the password based authentication and key based authentication both. Okay, so let's start with the one. Let's create one user. We create the user with the user add -m. If this is for the, if you are putting the m, it means the this you have want the user to have its own home folder. So if you're not putting m minus m, it will not create. So okay, let's minus m. What the user I want? Let's do the testing user. All right. So where is the command? Testing user. Yeah. So this testing user will be created, and if you see the you can see this user has been created, and all this setting regarding this testing user. You can set the password now. Password and testing user, testing user, yeah, and password I'm going to set it. Testing user. The password is successfully configured here. Now I'm going to demonstrate you how you can connect with this machine with the password based authentication. So as you can see, this is the IP for this machine, and let's connect with the testing user here. So I think it's moved to here. So this is testing user. Now it's asking for the password. Yeah, you can see I have successfully connected here onto the Kali machine with the user, newly created user, testing user. And if this is my home path, with my password and with the user I've just created onto the home. Now let's move on. So after that, I'm going to demonstrate you how now we can do the authentication with the key based authentication. Not means every time you don't have to put your password. So let's for that you need few things. First of all, you need to have your public and private key created with your, which you can use very easily. You can create with the PuTTY gen, and once that key is stored, once key is generated, and you can copy those private public key into your authorized keys. That is one step. And other thing you need to be very careful, like the once you connected with the uh, you want to connect with from your host machine to the VM or into the server, or your Linux or your desktop machine must be running with the P agent with your loaded private key. So those are the two things that has to be there. So okay, so let's now I'll next step I'm going to show you how to create the public and private key. Okay, so to create public and private key, there is a utility in the PuTTY. If you go here, you can see there is a two, these are the utility once you install the PuTTY, and we are going to use the PuTTY gen to create the public and private key. And I was talking about this P agent service. This has to have running onto your local machine before you and loaded with your private key. Then only you can connect to the machine. Now let's create one PuTTY gen, and so this is the key generator. So just simply click on the and just keep moving the mouse so that it creates the maximum random numbers, and based on that it will create your public and private key. So now you can see I have created the, so now save the private key. It is asking like, do you want to put the password? You can save without the password, that's not an issue. Now testing. Okay, suppose I'll give some name, maybe ABC. Yeah, abc.ppk for the private key, and the public key anyway you got it here. So what you have to do, copy this and into the testing user you have to create one authorized key. So where are we right now? We are in the testing user home folder, and mkd. Okay, so now once we are ready with the public key, you can see like here it's generated. So what I have done, I've just created a .ssh folder inside this testing user, and I have created one blank file called authorized keys. You can see it says the authorized keys file has to be there. So I just created that authorized key, and there is nothing inside that. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to populate this public key inside this authorized key. So let's copy this, select all, copy, and I'm going to edit this file. Yeah, insert mode, and here just paste this. So you can see this public key is already updated into this file. Yeah, one more thing we need to be very careful, that the file permission for this authorized key has to have the 600. So here you see it's a 600 only for this testing user, so that nobody can update this file. Now everything is ready. Now we can go and do the testing part for testing user with the key based authentication. Now let's okay, so this is the IP for this particular machine, and let's set the auth key, authorized key into the, so let's select the, we have just created the public key ABC, just select this one. So now with this public key we are going to log into the box. Okay, so let's click open, I think it's here, and log in as what we have got, the testing user. Now it should not ask for the password because we have already done the setting for the authorized key, so you should not ask for the password. Here you go. So that's the great thing. So we are now able to log in with the Kali machine with the password based authentication as well as the key based authentication.